Alright guys, so this is my plan to basically expand my intelligence, right? Expand my cognition. So, you know, when it comes to developing my brain in a very, in an intellectual way, the way they do it in school, right? I'm in university right now. And it's cool, it's dope to learn all this arbitrary knowledge and facts, but for me that's not what really stimulates me. That's not what really expands my intelligence, my cognition. The one thing that has been able to significantly enhance my intelligence and my cognition is learning languages, right? Is literally having a skill, an ability, an automatic ability where anytime you read like a book, right, in a language and you understand everything effortlessly, or like when someone talks to you and you're able to literally like understand everything like the moment they say the word, and then you are able to speak back to them like fluently without even trying, like that ability, that's like an ability. That's not even knowledge. Like people don't realize that language acquisition and language learning, it's like you're not even. It's not about gaining more knowledge. It's about gaining a skill, right? And then with that skill, you can gain more knowledge. So for me, like I can, so for me, like I know French and Japanese. Now with Japanese, right? I can literally like gain more knowledge with Japanese because I can read Japanese books, right? So for me, like I can use Japanese as a tool to learn more information and more knowledge. So that's why I realized that like when I went to university, like you do your university in English, right? At least where I'm at, right? But I decided to do like more research on the brain's effect on language acquisition in comparison to abstract knowledge, and it seems like there's very different subsets of intelligence that can expand it. So, for example, like let's take Jordan Peterson for example, right? Someone that has like let's say high IQ. He only speaks one language, but he's very good at that one language. But he knows a lot of knowledge, a lot of abstract knowledge. Now with him, like learning a lot about like psychology, learning a lot about science and stuff and these are really great subjects. And same with me, like I do this too, like I'm a fitness coach, right? So I know a lot about the body in terms of like how the physiology of the body, and when it comes to how it responds to exercise, what how should you train your athletes, what should you eat, like how the body responds to nutrition. Wait, what is this? Okay, I didn't know I had here. All these things, right? These are things that that are very valuable. Like I'm not gonna deny this, but it doesn't compare to the person that can speak multiple languages like effortlessly. Because like the thing with languages is that it's not dependent on intelligence. It's dependent on skill, right? Which means that like it doesn't matter how dumb you are or how low IQ you are. If you learn the language the exact same way I do it, right? You're gonna learn the language anyway. You know what I mean? Like a dumb person can speak. So that's proof that even though someone of the lowest IQ can learn a language, if this person learns his own native language, if this person can express his own thoughts, then he probably can learn another language, right? So that's the thing. So and it seems like there's different effects, right? Like when it comes to learning abstract knowledge about science, you develop, I think it's called deductive knowledge. But the problem with the deductive knowledge is that it's very fleeting, which means that even if you learn all these facts about history, psychology, and science, if you do not reinforce them over time, you're gonna forget it. It's very easy to forget conscious knowledge that you learn in school. But when it comes to language acquisition and ability, it takes a very long time to forget a language. That's the thing. That's what I realized with languages. When you learn languages to a high level, you will not be able to forget the language very easy. It's super hard to forget the language. And I think it's because language becomes a part of you, not something you learn about. So that's the difference between abstract science knowledge and language learning, is that when you learn a new language, it becomes a part of you. Like your personality changes when you speak the language because it's a different culture, it's a different way of speaking, it's a different way of thinking. So it expands your perspicacity, your perspective on life, right? And you're just able to view things through a multicultural lens. And that's something that abstract knowledge cannot give you, that only language can. And I also think it's cool, bro. It's such a it's so cool to be able to just understand like anime, be able to watch French YouTube videos without subtitles, and so that's why like my plan to really enhance my cognitive abilities is to actually like learn like Arabic. So like that's the final step. Like right now, I have finishing touches to do with Japanese. I want to achieve elite Japanese fluency in terms of reading, right? So like when it comes to like my conversational skills, like that takes care of itself over time, right? When it comes to like my speaking, so like I have no problem with that, and like my accent is like near native anyway. So like when it comes to like I'm pretty much fluent in both languages, in French and Japanese. It's just that like with my Japanese, I want to attain like ability that's like elite, right? And that's basically what that looks like is like learning 30,000 words. So that's like the thing for me, right? Like I want to be able to I'm gonna need to know like 30,000 words in Japanese for me to achieve elite Japanese reading, right? For me to basically read any book across all Japanese modern media, right? And that's the thing, guys. And I'm like really close. Like I'm really close to mastering Japanese and reaching that level. I just need a couple more months of basically doing Anki and doing a little bit more immersion. But eventually, I will reach the point where like I'm gonna be able to master like most light novels out there. And then when it comes to French, so for French, right? Like I'm thinking like for French, I never intended to get into literature because for me, like there's a ton of words in here I don't know, but I'm very close to mastering spoken French. And if I had to guess like a time frame, I'll be able to master spoken French within like 2 to 3 more months. And the reason why I say this is because when I was in France last summer, I was pretty much near native in terms of conversation. Like I asked my cousin, I asked my French cousin who's a native speaker of French, and she told, and I asked her like, oh, my cousin's like, can I pass for a French? And I basically asked her that, and I think in terms of, I do make mistakes in French, right? But like when it comes to like certain periods of time, there's certain periods of time when I speak French when it's like, it's literally perfect. Like in terms of accent, grammar, it's perfect. So it's funny because like I'm perfect for like a couple minutes, and then dunk, I make like a mistake in grammar, right? So like it's funny because it's like, but so I'm basically native level for a couple minutes, and then suddenly like I make a mistake that. So for me, I'm really close to reaching the native level, but I just need to spend more time in French because I only spent like literally a month in France. But during that month in France, I improved my French dramatically. Like I basically, guys, before I went to France for that month, there was also another month where I dedicated towards catching my French up. I wanted to basically, there was that month period before I went to France where I wanted to prompt my brain to like learn, to basically revive my French. So I basically went hard. I did Anki. I basically immersed for like 10 to 12 hours every day. Like guys, it was crazy. I was immersing for like 12 hours, 10 hours a day for a month. Like I went absolutely hardcore. But during those, so basically I did that for like a month, and I immediately went to France and then spent like another month in France. So I had like a total of 2 months of extreme intense immersion. And during that time frame, I was able to learn French like crazy fast, like insanely, So I was able to, and I think if I spent like a month or 2 in France, I would have reached native like fluency in conversation, right? In terms of my vocabulary. Because even with my French right now, there is still like some words that I don't know. Like, for example, if I had to watch like a show like Popcorn, right? I'm able to understand like literally 95% of what they're saying. And I'm talking about linguistically, right? Like usually if you understand 95% what they're saying, you understand like 99% what's going on. But like for me, I'm looking at the linguistic metrics. Like per word and per sentence, like how much sentences do I understand of what they're saying? And for me, there's still like a couple words here and there in Popcorn that I'm not getting. So in order to bridge the gap from reaching 95% comprehension to 99% comprehension in terms of like adult podcasts like Popcorn, I'm going to need to learn like maybe like 2,000 more words, right? And it's only that much. Like it's literally like nothing, right? But I can learn like 2,000 more words in like a couple months, right? So that's the thing, right? So for me to master spoken French and reach like 99% comprehension in terms of adult podcasts, then that's when I'm satisfied with my French. And for me, like I have no desire to go push beyond that and reach the level where like you need to read this. Because if I want to learn how to read this, bro, like I'm gonna need to know like 25,000 words to master this. Same as Japanese. Like where my Japanese is at right now, like I'm gonna have to get there with French if I want to read this. But that's the thing. But I don't know if I have desire to master French literature right now. So that's why like after I've mastered spoken French, and then I master literary Japanese, that's when I plan to go to Arabic, and then basically just master the entire Arabic language. So basically, master spoken Egyptian Arabic. So what I plan to do with Arabic is it might take me 2 years, because roughly the amount of words you need to know to master Egyptian Arabic, modern standard Arabic, and classical Arabic is a total of 20,000 words, which is a lot less than Japanese. So I'm so glad, because like if I was going to tackle another Japanese, bro, I would have been like, frick, man. But I only need to know like 20,000 words, which is not a lot. So like I'll be able to learn like all of that within like, if I was doing it consistently, probably like 2 years. So I plan to like do it in the order of like, okay, I'll master Egyptian Arabic, right, first, which would take me probably a year. Then after that, I'll master probably MSA, which is like modern standard Arabic, which might take me like 6 months to 9 months to learn another 10,000 words. And then I'll master classical Arabic, right, which is basically the Quran Arabic. And that might take me like another like 6 months. So like in total, like 2 years to 2 years and a half of like dedicated practice to master all three Arabics across all genres. So yeah. And that's what I plan to do, guys. And after that, bro, like I would become like literally like a polyglot. I would have like the heightened status of polyglot. Like not just polyglot that knows like surface level language. Like I know like high level fluency in like foreign languages. That's gonna be pretty dope. And I don't know, like not many people have achieved this level of fluency like in anything, like let alone one language. Like me doing it in 3 languages is me doing it in like 4 languages is absurd. Like, but this is like my plan to like achieve like complete domain expansion with my brain, because I feel like this is like very intellectually stimulating for me, because it's like learning about science is cool, but it's very abstract and it's very fleeting, right? It's not a part of you. Like you learn all this knowledge about science in school, but it's like unless you reinforce it, you will forget it, right? So like, but with languages, it's like if I were to become a master at Arabic, right, I could literally take 10 years off of Arabic and I'll still have the ability to understand Arabic. Like that's the crazy part. Like it stays dormant in your brain for a very long period of time, because it's a subconscious skill that your brain acquires. So it's like, even if your conscious brain does not remember the language, your subconscious brain remembers it. So that's why it's so hard to forget it, because it's an automatic skill you can just develop like that. So yeah, guys, that's like my plan. Like even though like I would like to learn more conscious knowledge, which I plan to do, because like once I master Arabic and Japanese, right, in terms of like very high level reading ability, now I'll be able to read classical Arabic texts. So now I can basically learn more about Islam in the context of classical Arabic. Because, you could learn about Islam, by reading English books about Islam, but it's better to read Islam, like Islamic books, in classical Arabic, in the actual language itself, and at the time period of the people that were there. Like if you can read a book like of the Sahabas, if you can read a book that Prophet Muhammad wrote, like the prophets wrote this book, bro, like just read it. It's right there. It's literally right there. You just gotta know the ability. You just gotta need like that. The only thing that's holding you back is your ability to be able to read classical Arabic, which can be done very fast. Like I'm telling you, if you just immerse, Anki, boom, 2 years, done. Like you got the ability there, right? And I'll be able to have access to all this knowledge. So you see how like I'm using the skill, I'm learning the skill of Arabic, and then I basically master the knowledge with that. And I basically read a ton of books, classical Arabic literature, like, I'll be able to like gain a lot of knowledge. And if I have the Japanese ability, I'll be able to gain like a lot of knowledge by reading books in Japanese and gain Japanese knowledge about history. So like, here's the thing, like, knowledge is great, but it's like, for me, I like to use like the skills that I learn from languages to learn knowledge, right? So that's the thing, guys. But at least for me, like my favorite intellectual skill and activity definitely is language learning. Like nothing beats it, bro. It's just impressive, bro. Like if you're that type of guy that can just speak 4 languages like that, like just read any literature and like any classical literature, and then you can just go out in the country and just speak to people, right? Make friends in different countries in the world. You're just like, like if you just like a world trip, you did like, you spent 1 month in France and you boom, dip to Japan, spend a month there, speak to Japanese people, go see your friends again. Oh, go to freaking Egypt. Okay, now you're gonna see your old friends in Egypt. Like, it's like it's just like, that's very impressive. You know what I mean? Like that's always has impressed me. Like, like I don't like people that know a lot about people that know a lot of knowledge about science and psychology. Even though that is impressive, don't get me wrong, for me, it's not as cool and impressive as someone that can speak like multiple languages. Like the kid that can speak like 10 languages, like that is more impressive to me than the guy that has like a whole master knowledge of science in his brain and speaks only one language. Right? Like for me, like the multilingual guy is more impressive for me. And I think it's more cool too. And it's more fun because it's like you just go out and you can travel the world and you can speak to people in that language. Like it's like you're accessing like a completely different mind. Like that's the thing with languages. When you learn languages, you access a completely different mind, right? A complete like a different way of thinking. So it really expands your perspicacity in your perspective, and that's like kind of what I've been looking for in life, is to really do that. So that's why for me, like learning language is like a really cool endeavor to go into.